starting now, so.
Welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, here to SportsTimeHQ. I am your host, Fernando. Joined with me today is my great co-host, Keith. Keith, how are you doing? Free agency is officially underway.
I'm doing good, Fernando. Today has been a bit of a crazy day. We've seen lots of early moves, and I think we're still waiting on confirmation if that big one to the Jets is gonna happen. But I'm sure we'll talk about it all as the show goes on.
Might as well talk about Aaron Rodgers now. I mean, he just wants to go over with Brett Favre. Like, he wants to really be into Brett Favre and follow his tracks. Obviously, there was mentions that the deal was done already, but then there was deals that wasn't done, and then rumors that he was officially going. I mean, do you think no matter what happens, he's gonna most likely go to the Jets?
Yeah, I think he's probably gone. I'd say the deal is more or less done in the background. They're probably just waiting from Rodgers himself to give the okay. The Jets, they got rid of Mike White, so he's gone over to Miami. So that leaves him with a spot open. So I imagine that's Aaron Rodgers, and Wilson back him up. But I'd say this deal will get done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I'm predicting. I would be surprised if the deal isn't done by the end of the week.
Oh yeah. I'd imagine they were in a Monday now. I'm saying I think it could be done by Wednesday. End of day Wednesday. I think that deal could be done, especially if the rumors. I know some people kind of they went too early on the news saying it's done, and Rodgers was kind of surprised. But I think he was the one that came out originally and said that he didn't want it to drag on. So I think if it's going to happen, it's going to happen pretty quick. I'd say now.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. And I don't know if you heard any of the rumors or possibly who was it? Sauce Gardner's tweet, but supposedly Adam Lazard liked his tweet. So does that mean there'll be a little pair of the Lazard King with Aaron Rodgers again?
Maybe it's interesting. Who knows? I heard also rumors that maybe Elijah Moore might be going in the opposite way to Green Bay. So I think there could be. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some swapping and changing there going on.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think it's going to happen very soon. Who knows? I mean, it's basically, if that happens, I hate to say it, but the Patriots are probably going to be the worst team in the division.
Yeah, you're kind of screwed. And I don't think you're going to go for your Lamar that you wanted. So yeah, I think you're even more screwed.
I mean, I have to play Josh Allen twice, Tua twice, or maybe even Tom Brady twice, depending on what happens there, and then also Aaron Rodgers twice.
Yeah,
That's six losses.
Mac Jones is in trouble. Everybody's in trouble. I mean, it's going to end up like a really tough division, which is not good for you because you are kind of like on the rebuild up and coming stage. Looking at the division now, it looks like the Jets. It'll be between the Jets, Bills, and Dolphins fighting it out, and you'll probably slot in somewhere at the bottom, unfortunately.
Yeah, somewhere. By the playoff chances or hopes.
Yeah, exactly. What you win? You won 8 games last year. Jets won 7. Yeah. I think that'll flip flop big time.
Yeah, we'll get the 7 to still make it to the playoffs. Maybe
confidence. So early confidence. I don't think so. After hearing all the Mac Jones stuff,
I hope so. But let's get into the AFC South first before we get into the AFC East. The AFC South has kind of been a little dormant, I think, in the South. I mean, I don't know if you know much about the Steelers, but they've only signed one player, and it's Patrick Peterson, which was today, to a 2-year deal. I'm guessing it's just, are we expecting this from the Steelers? Just short deals here and there? And
where are we bouncing? AFC North, AFC South, AFC North, the Steelers, and all that. Where are you going?
Excuse me, AFC North. My fault.
No worries.
Completely messed that one up.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. Oh, what's his name? Brian. We had him on the show. Can't think of his name. Former Steelers
Brian
cornerback.
McFadden.
Brian McFadden.
Brian
He
McFadden.
was actually just about to do a show with Patrick Peterson earlier on today, and literally, I think 2 minutes before going on their whatever recording their pod, whatever they do, the news came through that Peterson was a Steeler. So I thought that was interesting. But yeah, not a lot going on. I think the big drama in that division is what's going on with Lamar. The Bengals, though, they did lose their safeties. They lost Jesse Bates. They lost Von Bell. So they got some.
They did add a player.
Well,
they added
they retained Pratt.
Linebacker Jermaine Pratt. Yeah.
Yeah, he was there last year. They just re-signed him. So that's not really adding anything to what they had. I think the interesting, the stuff going on with Lamar is going to be the most kind of interesting thing there. He's not getting any offers from anywhere else. So yeah, he's probably just going to have to take whatever the Ravens going to give him. And then the Browns seem like they're moving cap all over the place. They want to sign a top wide receiver. What I've heard, I don't think it'd be both, but either Brandon Cooks or DeAndre Hopkins, one or the other, somebody that already has a connection with Watson. So I think they're kind of the moves, kind of Lamar with the Ravens and the Browns getting a top wide receiver. That's kind of what's kind of out there at the moment. But other than that, Bengals lose a couple of safeties. Peterson, the big one, I suppose, going to Steelers. Not a whole lot else going on, I don't think.
I would love to see Hopkins with Watson. I mean, that connection was just so perfect in Houston. That I think Hopkins is. I know his stock is getting kind of declining because of his age, but I think his stock goes up with that trade.
Yeah, and Hopkins came out and said he's not wanting to be like the highest paid wide receiver or whatever, and he'll see what he negotiate the last 2 years of his contract and all that. So it sounds like if teams want them, I was thinking about your boys as well, the Patriots, because I know Belichick's a massive fan of Hopkins.
I love it.
I mean, that could be a fit too, but I think he's going to be it's an ideal situation for one of these teams that, you're going to get a top wide receiver he's going to get good money, but he's not going to look to, break the bank and be like a Tyreek Hill going on 30 mil or whatever,
No, not at all. I'm intrigued to see what the Browns can do this year because, I mean, this is as a Browns fan, if I'm a Browns fan, this is a playoff team. Like, you have to go to the playoffs. You can't sign Watson to a major contract and not do anything about it. I mean, I think Watson. I mean, you signed him for so much money. You need to add weapons. DPJ's there, so Donovan Peoples-Jones, should hopefully accelerate with his production. But overall, you have to go to the playoffs, right?
Yeah, what's in there and what you're giving him, and he's going to have a whole year now to start off and not be suspended like last year. So have him there, Nick Chubb, one of the best running backs in the league. Kareem Hunt looks like he's probably going to be out the door, but you get say they get DeAndre Hopkins, you already got Amari Cooper, Donovan Peoples-Jones, like you said. They got some weapons on that team. Then defensively, they got some players, Myles Garrett. There was a rumor going around today. I don't know where it started at all on Twitter, but that the Seahawks were going to be interested in trading for Myles Garrett. But I mean, I was getting excited about that, but I think it was all smoke and mirrors. There was nothing going on there. But yeah, the Browns got some solid pieces there. Add a wide receiver for Watson, and I'd say they'll be way more competitive in that division than they have been in previous years.
Would you enjoy Myles Garrett for sure in Seattle if that ends up happening?
Hell yeah, I would. I'd say we'd have to give up too much. I imagine that's probably the 5th pick in the first round gone, and the Seahawks don't.
You think so?
I don't know. They'd have to give up top cap. Myles Garrett's one of the best. So I mean, Pete Carroll's not going to do that. I have a sneaky feeling they're still going to aim for a quarterback in the draft, just the way it's going. But I'd say the Browns would want top capital back from Garrett.
I don't think you re-sign Geno Smith to a 3-year deal. I think, in my opinion, you don't draft a quarterback with the 5th pick. I don't think so. I think you trade down, if anything. If you're looking for a quarterback, you trade down. But I think you add defense.
I mean, it's the Seahawks. We always trade. So that's, if you ask me now, what do I expect them to do? I expect them to trade, but I would not be surprised if Richardson's on the board there and Pete Carroll hits the button on him, just because I know they got on so well and that the one takeaway Richardson took out of meeting the coaches, meeting the teams was Seattle and Pete Carroll. So I thought that was interesting. Who knows? Early
Who
stages
knows?
still.
Yeah, who knows? Indeed, I mean, anything could happen. I mean, who knows? Aaron Rodgers could end up going to Atlanta. We don't know. It could just
That's
kind of
it.
change.
It's not finalized with the Jets yet. We're expecting it, but or he could just stay a Packer. Who knows?
Exactly, 100%. I mean, the only team that's been really the most interesting in the North is, I like you mentioned, the Ravens with the non-exclusive tag with Lamar Jackson. Now, Lamar Jackson non-exclusive tag clearly means that the Ravens are ready to move on with him, but it looks like there's no teams that are so eager to really trade for him. So, do you think this kind of backfired on the Ravens if there is no deal?
Possibly, and Lamar too, because I mean Lamar just wanted someone to offer a lot of money and like a lot guaranteed, and go back to the Ravens and say, well, I can get it here, so you got to match it. So I don't know. It's not an ideal situation for both parties involved, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm intrigued to see. I mean, because now he mentioned in the exclusive tag, if he gets exclusively tagged or whatever, that he won't report until maybe just a couple weeks before regular season.
Yeah,
So, I
another one,
mean,
another one for fantasy football. That's not going to be good.
exactly. I mean, who knows? Maybe he might even sit out for the season till he gets what he wants.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. I would not be surprised. Same with there's a lot of
Le'Veon
guys.
Bell did it.
Exactly, Le'Veon Bell, and I'm thinking like Josh Jacobs, Saquon Barkley. These guys who are tagged. Are they going to show up?
I don't see why they wouldn't, in my opinion. I mean, we'll talk more about the NFC East later, but I think Barkley really, I think he enjoys being in New York. I don't see him really moving on or sitting out.
No, it's just depending on what money they can get after paying Daniel Jones.
Exactly. That's the big thing, Daniel Jones and everything. Do you have any landing spots for where possibly Lamar Jackson will be traded? If there is, if he does get traded.
At this stage, I don't think he will. I was interested in him for Seattle before the Geno stuff, just because we knew, there was a lot of rumors that Geno could end up back at the Jets and stuff like that, and I was saying, oh, that's fine if we end up getting Lamar, but I don't really have any landing spots. I don't think anybody's interested in giving him so much money guaranteed, and he's probably just going to end up back with the Ravens trying to sort it all out.
Yeah, I think if there is no team that ends up trading, he obviously will stay in Baltimore. But I think the one team, and I'm still sticking with it, even though they said they're not interested, I still think it could be the Atlanta Falcons. I still think that maybe if the Ravens decide to drop their price a little bit, that maybe we'll see something in a trade. And I think the Ravens would be, I mean, the Falcons would definitely want to jump onto that.
Yeah, I mean they were one team early on that kind of came out and said no, and I suppose, but if they do, what do you do with Ritter then? What was the point of drafting him? So
Trade him.
Yeah, they could trade him, but like we'll get onto that division earlier. They made a move today for one of your boys that made no sense either to me. But yeah, I think they'll be. I think I still be surprised if the Falcons go get him. I'm still think he's going to end up a Raven, and it's just going to be a messy situation.
I mean, for fantasy managers, I mean, now Lamar Jackson is you gotta have to trade him, or you're gonna have to hold him in dynasty and just kind of hope. I mean, I know for me, I've been trying to shop Lamar Jackson, and if you were someone that was interested in Lamar Jackson in dynasty, what would you be offering if you were offering picks? What would you be offering? A super flex league, what would you be offering?
Superflex league. I mean, you're expecting to get a sort out and be at some team, so like you're probably saying 2 first-round picks. You know what I mean? He's gonna show up at some stage and play, whether it's a week beforehand or whatever. He's still gonna play, I believe, this season. But it's just gonna be a messy situation with the Ravens. But like once he's out there, he's still valuable to your team. So he's definitely worth 2 first-round picks, or a high-end player in a first round. He's a quarterback for years and years in this league. So if you have him on your team, you've got one for the future. It's just you're going to shop him and hope you get the bag, and probably get 2 first-round picks, a top player, maybe a second or something like that coming that way. Maybe you'll have to go up a a third round pick or something like that with Lamar. I don't know, but yeah, I see why you chop him and see what happens. Because you also don't know. There is also always a chance that he's not back in Baltimore and he goes to like a worse team and then see what happens.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Like, I mean, I'm willing to take two first, but I think I would need higher end first if it was for this year's draft. Like, if I'm getting rid of Lamar Jackson, I'm looking to get a quarterback in the draft. And
Yeah.
obviously, in the Superflex, you want to draft a quarterback in the very beginning, and it could be either C.J. Stroud, Bryce Young, Anthony Richardson, Will Levis. I mean, it could be all those guys, and those guys could be you're at the 1.06. They could be gone by the 1.6.
Yeah, you're looking at probably a top four pick along with something else, because in the top four, then you're going to get, you're going to get your quarterback, and then maybe you get like the 103 and the 106 or something like that. You get your quarterback, and then I don't know, you get a running back at the 106 or something like that.
What do you think? Maybe Derek Carr in a first. Would you do that? Or Daniel Jones in a first?
Oh no, I'd rather Derek Carr in the first. I think the team is set up more, and there's talks of Michael Thomas getting a new contract and stuff like that, which is kind of strange. But I'd rather Derek Carr situation. You just don't have him for longer, I don't think.
What about Jimmy Garoppolo?
No, no,
What? Okay. Anyways,
no.
no way. We'll talk about the West pretty soon, but let's go to the East. Patriots, they've kind of been Patriots, except for that last couple seasons where they just decided to sign a bunch of different players and go crazy. But they did trade away Jonas Smith, like we mentioned. He got traded to the Falcons, only for a 7th-round pick, which I felt like that was a little undervalued. I think he should have been maybe a 4th or 5th or something. I don't know. I just don't see a 7th realistically, but it's what they wanted to do to get cap space to sign Jonathan Jones. That's what they wanted. They got what they wanted.
I get the feeling it was like he was going to be cut or whatever, and getting something back was better than nothing. Really odd from the Falcons' point of view, I think. Though I get for John Smith that he's going somewhere he knows, because he had Arthur Smith was there when he was with the Titans. But what happens with Kyle Pitts and these two? Is it going to be like 2 tight end sets now, or what's going on? But it definitely murkies the water for Pitts, because it's not like Johnny Smith's just going to go in there and block. We know what he can do. He's a good player. So very odd landing spot. Not good for fantasy football. Not good for Kyle Pitts, since he hasn't been that relevant since coming into the league. So it's an odd one, but I think, from a Patriots point of view, I get you were saying you could have got a better pick, but if it's a case of they were shopping him, wasn't going to get much, they'll take the 7th and just clear the the cap, and it works out well for them.
Yeah, I mean, if it's clear the cap, I mean, you got Jonathan Jones for 2 years. Now you got to figure out if you want to sign him long term. He could be like a J.C. Jackson or from Gilmore, where you just let him go. But I mean, it is what it is. I mean, the Patriots have been always more defensive. Jonas Smith hasn't really fit in the offense, so maybe it's just better for both worlds, in my opinion.
Yeah.
For the Jets, they haven't really done much. Quincy Williams, they signed him for a 3-year, $21 million linebacker. Traded for Chuck Clark, the safety, and they did do one good signing. Kicker, Greg Zuerlein. No, I mean, it is what it is. Jets haven't really done much. I think their biggest concern is trying to get Aaron Rodgers. I think that's their top priority right now.
Yeah, that'll be their big move once he signs for them. That's going to be the Jets' big news, and that'll be it. But I was looking at Twitter, Garrett Wilson, all them guys, they're all convinced that Rodgers is done. They all put up saying they can, go on holidays happy now and stuff. So I'd imagine this is going to be done sooner rather than later.
Yeah, I mean, when did Brett Favre get traded to the Jets? I wonder when that happened, because maybe Aaron Rodgers is just waiting for that day.
Oh, I don't know. It's like, I don't know, it was like 15 years ago or something crazy, or longer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. I mean, it could come either today or tomorrow. Who knows? But the Buffalo Bills, kind of adding some more defensive players. They re-signed their punter Sam Martin to 3 years, up to $7.5 million. Linebacker Tyler Matikovic, Matt Milano, And then they did re-sign their guard Connor McGovern to a 3-year, $23 million deal. So Bills kind of also staying dormant, I would say, in free agency, kind of just trying to add defense, I would think.
Yeah, but the big one for them is they lost Tremaine Edmonds, their
Exactly.
linebacker, to the Bears. So that's kind of a big kind of hole they got to fill. But yeah, other than that,
Maybe
there's not
look
been.
for it in free agency. I mean,
Yeah,
not free
maybe
agency, draft.
well, draft. Yeah, maybe that. But there's yeah, they haven't done a whole lot, I suppose. And re-signing key players, I suppose. But someone was always going to leave, and Edmonds got serious money there at the Bears. So yeah, he's gone. But yeah, another team, I suppose, that we'll have to watch for some more, draft picks or trades or something like that. Still interesting. I've been reading about Dalvin Cook. Does he go there and hook up with his brother? We'll see.
You know what Dalvin Cook's middle name is? I found this out the other day. You know what Dalvin Cook's middle name is? It's James.
That's weird.
And I
Is it
think
middle
James
name?
Cook's middle name is Dalvin.
What? That's so Oh yeah, I think you know what? I think I remember reading this and going like, "What the hell?" Now that you're saying so, Dalvin James Cook and James Dalvin Cook. That's so weird. Why would you do that?
It's so weird. Oh, but one's pretty good in the NFL currently.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Steven
Uh,
Gordon.
exactly. The Dolphins, they're clearly all in. They want to go win a Super Bowl. And they ended up trading, and they got Jalen Ramsey, which they paid nothing. They paid absolutely nothing basically for Jalen Ramsey, and it pays off. They get Jalen Ramsey. I think Byron Jones got cut or released. And then they also signed, who did they sign? Mike White, backup for that used to be for the Jets, who didn't play bad when he started. So I think a little bit of an insurance option in
He
case
got a nice
Tua does
deal
go
too.
down.
I think it's like a 2-year, $16 million deal. It's a nice deal.
Yeah, 8 mil a year. I mean,
Yeah,
for someone who played what? How many starts? Like five, maybe six, ever. Not
yeah,
bad.
it's nice. Yeah, it's nice. I'll take it.
Uh, Dolphins. Are you? Do you think these Dolphins make it to the playoffs? Do you think they go farther than what they did last year?
Yeah, I think they've got a great chance. But I suppose the big question mark is Tua and his health. We know he's a good player, but all these concussions, I suppose, if he gets a concussion early in the season, that could be Tua's career over with. And then who
Yeah,
have we got? We go straight on to Mike White again, who gets another game because a quarterback got injured. But that's kind of the question mark for me is it's Tua, can he stay healthy? Because I think now they're putting all the pieces together between last year and this year now already. Where the draft hasn't even happened and stuff like that. They're definitely putting a nice team together to make a push. They're in win mode, and I can see them having a good run in the playoffs.
yeah. I'm intrigued to see what these Dolphins can do and what they can do to keep Tua healthy. That's the main concern, I think. Going to next season, you got to keep Tua healthy if you want to win.
Yep, that's it exactly. Unless there's rumors, but I still think Tom Brady is going to stay retired unless he turns up in Miami.
Yeah,
That's a game.
I'll ask you. I was gonna actually ask you that. Like, do you think Tom Brady actually comes back? Because I don't see it. I don't see a chance.
I don't see it too, but I don't think you need a whole lot of convincing if he looks at that team. They're nearly, they're a team, especially an offense that has all the potential to make it, really, really far in the playoffs. You put Tom Brady in there, he could be the key component they're just missing to go and make it to a Super Bowl. So I don't think he'd need a lot of convincing, but I just don't see him coming out of retirement. I think he did it once. Now he's going to retire again. I think that's it. I think he's just going to take it easy now and probably, have a nice chill year and then turn up on Fox next year.
Well, here's the thing. Here's my thought. Like, if the Dolphins don't do good or as good as they did last year, or somehow Tua gets injured again, and he's like out for the season next year. If Tua ends up retiring, or for instance, Tua just is not ready or in physical readiness to play at the NFL, what do the Dolphins do? Like, they're without their caliber quarterback, and they have such a dominant team. They have to sign a veteran, right? They can't just go draft a quarterback in the draft.
You'd imagine so because all their eggs are in one basket. They're in win now mode, say probably next few years, 2-3 years max. if something happens to Tua and he's forced to retire, he's out of the game. Yeah, you'd imagine they're going to be looking for some sort of veteran quarterback, not Tom Brady, anyways. But I mean, I don't really know who. Maybe things don't work out with Russell Wilson. He goes to, he ends up Miami. Who knows? But yeah, they're in win mode now. So Tua's got to stay healthy because it's not like they're going to get another, early draft pick. They'll have to move pieces to do that to get a quarterback in the draft.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what the Dolphins have to be all in, and they have to win if they want to. I don't know if they want to win a Super Bowl. It's this year.
Yeah, the next couple of years, I think, for me. But yeah, it's definitely got to happen soon.
Yeah. Let's go to the AFC South. Texans, they were interested in Jimmy Garoppolo. They really wanted Jimmy Garoppolo. They clearly did not get that. Jimmy Garoppolo signed somewhere else. But they ended up finally signing their backup option, which was Case Keenum. He signed for a 2-year option, a 2-year deal. Robert Woods also signed there to a 2-year deal. MJ Stewart, safety, signed a 2-year deal. Chase Winovich, he signed a 1-year deal, and then Hassan Ridgeway, a defensive tackle, signed a 1-year deal as well. So basically, moral of the story is they're going to go for a quarterback in the draft.
Yeah, I think your buddy Davis Mills is screwed. Case Keenum coming in.
Unfortunately.
They'll go for a quarterback in the draft, and I'd say Davis Mills is probably the odd man out then.
Yeah, it stinks to say because I was so hoping Davis Mills would perform.
He was pretty good in his first year and then went backwards then last season, unfortunately. Even if he was similar, maybe not, he didn't take the step forward, but similar. Sorry. I think he'd be in with a chance to be the starter this year, but it was too much, too much bad play. At the end of the season, they were chopping and changing between the backup and him, and it was just a lot of messing there with the Texans. So I'd say they definitely go for one of the top guys, and that'll be their starter. Case Keenum back up him, and Davis Mills probably be a backup somewhere else.
Yeah, all the rookie quarterbacks from 2 years ago, if they did good that year, they took a step back last year. If they didn't do good their first year, they took a step forward the second year.
Exactly, yeah.
It's so crazy to see. I mean, going to the Jacksonville Jaguars, Trevor Lawrence just looked so much differently into this past season. Yeah. And then they franchise tagged Evan Ingram, who actually performed pretty good on the new team. He got franchise tagged, so he's going to be there at least for another year. They signed their backup CJ Beathard to a 2-year contract. Roy Robertson, Harris defensive line, but you can't forget they also got Calvin Ridley coming back from the suspension.
Yeah, that's going to make it interesting there with, they got some weapons on offense as it is with Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram. You add Calvin Ridley into that mix too. It's a lot of options there for Lawrence, and they have Etienne in the backfield too. So it's an exciting offense there for the Jags.
Jaguars, playoff contention.
They were your second team. Now they're your first team since the Pats are going to suck.
No, the Pats, unfortunately, I'll still choose them over the Jags any day. But I mean, Pats, they just need to figure out what the heck they're doing, because if they don't perform this year, Mac Jones is out the door. But Jaguars, no, they look really good. Their offense they look outstanding. And I think in the draft, Jaguars are probably going to go with defensive player in the draft. It'll be interesting to see. I also want to mention first, the Dolphins do not have a first-round pick. They're the only team that does not have a first-round pick in this year's draft. That was forfeited because they got forfeited with the Humphrey scandal.
Yep.
So I did forget to mention that, but yeah. But the Jaguars, again, going back to the Jaguars and the AFC South, they're looking good. They, I think, are the best team. They're the only team that actually is very good right now in the South. They're favorites, for me anyways, to win the division. Colts, they didn't do anything in the free agency so far, just Tyquan Lewis, 1-year contract. Goes to show that they're going to be drafting a quarterback in the draft as well.
Yeah, let's probably move up the draft. The Cardinals are probably there to move back in the draft, so the spots in there as well. Maybe Seahawks move back, so yeah, I'd imagine they'll be in for a quarterback.
Even the Titans could also be going for a quarterback. I mean, is Tannehill really the option? He's a free agent technically right now. They signed long snapper Morton Cox and Andre Dillard, the offensive tackle, to a 3-year deal. So Titans could also be looking for a quarterback in the draft.
They got a lot of they got rid of a lot of pieces though. Taylor Lewan was a big one that they let go, and I think the other guy was Ben Jones to let go. Yeah, so some pieces, and they were rumors they were shopping Derrick Henry and things like that. So I think they're in kind of rebuild mode, kind of blowing it up and going over again. So it's going to be interesting what they do with Tannehill though. It sounds like they want to keep him, but how much they're going to pay him?
I don't think they're going to pay him much, honestly. I think that team needs to kind of go younger than older.
Yeah, I agree. And I always thought Tannehill was only okay. It was like he was just a bang average quarterback. Definitely going to the Titans was a good move from him. Showed him, kind of worked in his favor that they were run heavy and they just kind of only throw when they need to type of thing. But yeah, he's not worth a whole lot of cash, I don't think.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really see him. I wouldn't want to sign him. I wouldn't want to sign him unless he's backing up a rookie quarterback. Get that veteran talent.
Yeah.
That's it. That's all I would do. But that's it for the AFC South. There wasn't really much for the AFC South. Really, only the Texans have done a lot. The AFC West, only one player was signed with the Chiefs, and that was offensive tackle Jawan Taylor, who used to be a former Jaguar. He signed to a 4-year, $80 million deal earlier today. I mean, I think he makes $1 million in base salary this year with like 20,000 or 200,000 in workout bonus. And then after that, he gets basically paid $20 million a year after that with a signing bonus that he had this year of 20 mil. So Jawan Taylor, he's going to help the Chiefs. I mean, go to the Super Bowl again? I mean, it's what it looks like.
More than likely, but I think they might have offensive line issues with guys that are free agents and stuff like that. Did they lose Wiley to the Commanders? Andrew Wiley to the Commanders?
I think
that
so.
happened.
If I'm correct.
And then your man Orlando, what's his face? That used to be a Raven, I think. His contract is up as well, and they're trying to resign, but I don't think they will now. So I don't think I can afford him. So I think they might have some issues there on the offensive line, which is not going to be good to keep Patrick Mahomes up. But again, it could be the draft for them, looking to rebuild that offensive line.
Yeah, rebuilding the offensive line. I mean, it doesn't really look like you need much help. Besides, I would think you need to add a wide receiver in the draft too. If you're not signing anyone in the free agency market, I think they need a wide receiver.
Yeah, well, its talk was Mecole Hardman's a free agent. He's out
Juju
there.
Smith is also a free agent.
I think this talk Juju's coming back, and they're saying Tony's going to be the wide receiver 1, which is very interesting.
I don't think so. I don't think you need.
Well, Travis Kelce is their wide receiver 1, really. But
well, yeah.
Yeah, I have a feeling Juju could end up being back. Mecole Hardman's gonna. I don't think he'll be back. He'll go somewhere else. But yeah, they're definitely light at wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not worried about. Well, I am worried as a Patriots fan of the Chiefs, but I'm not worried on their potential into next season. I think they'll still do very well.
Oh yeah, they'll be up there again. They'll win that division more or less, I'd say.
Broncos, they sign a massive deal with tight end Chris Manhertz. Clearly irrelevant. Right tackle Mike McGlinchey, he signs a 5-year, $87.5 million deal. So he's going to help the offensive line out tremendously. And maybe hopefully help Russell Wilson to finally get something going over there with Sean Payton.
I think that's the plan. By the sounds of things, by giving him such a big contract, and it's all.
I mean, we thought that was the plan last year.
Yeah, better coach this time though. It should help for us. So you'd imagine they'll be a lot better than last
year. I hope if they're not, there's a problem. There is a big.
Definitely, the team I'm worried about in that division is the Chargers.
Yeah, did you hear?
Go ahead.
I think you were going to say it. Did you hear about Austin Eckler? Austin Eckler might get traded.
Yeah, he only has 1 year left on his contract. I think it's like a 1 year, $6 million, and it looks like they're not really talking about a good deal. It's like it's like the running back market is just stalled big time. So he asked for permission to talk to their teams, and looks like it's going to be granted, I think, depending on what happens. So, I'd imagine the Chargers are eyeing up a running back in this in the draft.
Yeah, I mean, they could be. I mean, do you have any possible landing spots that you think Austin Eckler could get traded to? I mean, right now, I think this is a big opportunity for Isaiah Spiller, in my opinion. They drafted him last year. I think it was second round, maybe, or third round.
Mm-hmm.
But Isaiah Spiller, I think, is a good running back, and I think he could be the RB1 there.
Yeah, I liked Isaiah Spiller last year, and I took him in a lot of drafts, but didn't get, was a bit part player. Got a, bit of a, he was in and out. Obviously, the main guy was Eckler. He was kind of like just in for third downs now and then, but he will take over that role. But I'd imagine the Chargers will go in. If for some reason when they're on the clock, Bijan Robinson is there, he's just, straight in. One spot for Eckler could be the Dolphins.
Okay.
Whether they have money to pay him after all these moves, I'm not too sure. Another one could be the Bengals. If they just talk, they're going to cut Joe Mixon. They don't have any running backs on their. If they cut Mixon, they don't have any running backs on their books because they got rid of Samaje Perine. I think like Chris Evans and a few guys that you're not really going to play. So that could be an interesting one. And in Division 1, Broncos.
But you got Javonte. I don't think they would just
talk Javonte. There's loads of rumors Javonte can miss most of the season. I've heard rumors that he's going to be good for start of the year. I've heard rumors that he mightn't be back till half the season. If there's any doubt that it's not going to happen, then maybe they do that. Yeah.
So you're missing one team that
your boys?
There's one team you haven't mentioned. No. I would hope they do not trade for Eckler. I like Ramondre. I think you're going to ruin the rhythm if you get him.
Okay.
I'm thinking the NFC. What is it? The NFC South. I'm thinking maybe some birds. They're a little red. Maybe the Atlanta Falcons.
Oh, Falcons. Yeah,
I mean,
I suppose they need running backs. You went birds, and I said Bucks. That was stupid.
I think I like Tyler Algier. I really like him. I just hear me out. What do you think? What do you think a running back would be traded for? Eckler, anyways. Do you think he'd be?
I don't think it'd take much because it wouldn't take much because they only got 1 year left on his contract. So
here's the thing. This is what the Falcons do. They trade maybe a third and a fifth, or somewhere along those lines for Eckler. Get Eckler for that 1 year. Now hear me out. Get rid of 2 of your first, or maybe 3, or whatever the price is. Go get Lamar Jackson. Tell me that team isn't the top team in that division, maybe a playoff contending team.
Maybe. That's interesting.
Lamar Jackson, Austin Eckler, Drake London, Kyle Pitts, and then who else? Jonnu Smith. All right, maybe even sign another Jacoby Myers type of player. I mean, that team loaded right there. Sign me up to be a GM for the Falcons. Are they taking forms, Google Forms? I'll fill out my resume and send it over to them.
No, that's not a bad idea. And I said Bucks when I thought about Bucks because I knew Leonard Fournette's gone. They're only stuck with Rashad White, so that's what I took. Another team, Detroit Lions, because Jamal Williams, a free agent. They have big reservations. I was reading about DeAndre Swift and what's going on there because he can never stay healthy. Maybe there. Who knows? But I think there should be a market for Eckler. But the way it's going at the moment, like if Dalvin Cook,
should be?
No, I think there should be a market out there for Eckler. Like there should be teams lining up for him. But the way the running backs are being treated so far, like Dalvin Cook is
the Eagles.
They're no Eagles. Yeah, it's an interesting one. If they're not going to re-sign Miles Sanders, it's interesting.
There's so many teams. I mean, like you mentioned, I totally agree with you. I think the running back market is wide open right now. I think there's so many teams looking for a running back. Eckler, he hasn't really hurt himself that much. Like it's not like he's missed like seasons. I think Eckler's a fantastic running back.
The problem with the running back market is nobody has set the standard yet.
No, they haven't set the
They're
standards,
all
and that's the thing.
they're waiting for somebody to make the move, and then they know what's going on and what's going to pay. And obviously, the market's really, really low because teams are like not bothered so far. It will
But
come
it might
around
be
to them.
too late. It might be too late by that time for teams that want him.
It
I
could
don't know.
be, but
I like
I'm
the
thinking
Falcons a lot.
it's interesting.
I like the Falcons a lot. But moving on to some other teams, last couple teams in the AFC. Josh Jacobs franchise tagged with the Raiders. Amir Abdullah signed a 1-year deal with them. Marcus Epps safety, and then Jimmy Garoppolo. He gets his home. I mean, I predicted it. I think a lot of people predicted it was bound to happen. Josh McDaniels, Jimmy Garoppolo, the duo is there. The glue is there. Jimmy Garoppolo is going to succeed
It's not a surprise. I
if he
think
stays
that
healthy.
yeah, it's not a surprise. I don't know whether it's a better move for the Raiders than Derek Carr. I just think it's probably on the same playing field as Derek Carr. It's good for Josh Jacobs because I think there'll be a lot of he'll get a lot of work in the passing game. But
Yeah.
Jimmy G's going to have to learn to throw the ball more than 20 yards because Devontae Adams gets free down the field, but like free 30, 35 yards down the field, wide open. Jimmy G's got to throw it that far. He wasn't used to doing that a whole lot in with San Francisco. So yeah, it's going to be definitely a different game plan down there. But it's a good move for Jimmy. I still don't know how good these Raiders are. They have nice weapons on offense, but defense to me is still it's one of their Achilles heels every year. So it's going to be interesting. But good to see him. He got a good payday as well. So it's good to see him back starting next year.
Yeah, I'm going to be intrigued to see. Are you at all interested in drafting him in drafts?
As a second QB, maybe in Superflex later on.
Okay.
Just because he's got talent to throw at, he's got Devontae Adams,
Yeah.
obviously control to Jacobs, Darren Waller, Hunter Renfro. These guys there. So it's interesting to see. Oh yeah, one we forgot to mention, it's just come true here, and he signed a big deal with the Broncos. Jarrett Stidham is now a backup QB at the Broncos,
Yeah.
but he got $10 million, I think.
Over 2 years, right?
Yeah, I mean that's a lot of money to pay. So they obviously
$5 million.
that's quite. I think that's question marks on Russ that if things aren't going right, there's a guy that can actually come in and play half decent. He looked okay at some games for the Patriots, and he came in the end of the season for the Raiders, and he actually connected really well with Devontae Adams. So I think that's an interesting one.
Yeah, I mean, it's also the question on the wide receivers because it looks like they're trying to trade wide receivers too.
Yeah. I mean, it's there's a lot going on there. I don't know what they're definitely trying to ship one of Hamler, Judy, and Sutton.
Bring Portland signed to the Patriots.
I mean, that'd be a great signer for you guys. Even Judy, I don't think Judy goes because to me last year, Russ wasn't on the same page with many people, but he was on the same page with Judy out of the wide receiver. So I think he stays, and if anything, Cortland Sutton probably goes or KJ Hamler if they're not, not a fan of him, but the one for me would make sense to trade is Sutton.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. Completely agree with you. And Sutton, I think his contract's coming up, and I think he'd be perfect to just trade away, and teams could get him for cheap, in my opinion.
Well, if Jacoby Myers is going to go and sign like a 15 million, 16 million, whatever year contract, maybe then there's your market, then there's your cap to go trade for Cortland Sutton.
Yeah, I mean, Sutton, I like Sutton a lot. And I think I'd be curious to see what happens with him. Who else? Who else could be there? Javonte. I mean, we talked about Javonte a little bit. I don't know. I think. Would you in a fantasy draft? Would you rather draft Jimmy Garoppolo or Russell Wilson?
Oh, Russell Wilson, I think it's going to be a bounce back year. Well, compared to last year, it has to be anyways. I take Russ, and you're going to get value on Russ too compared to other years because he's going to go way later because people are going to not. A lot of people that drafted him last year and got stung by him aren't going to do that again. So there will be value in drafts with Russell Wilson.
Yeah. So that's it for the AFC side. I want to kind of ask you more on possibly some free agency frenzy player predictions, maybe. Maybe we can go into that and talk about the NFC players in the next show.
Yeah.
Some free agency player predictions. Kind of want to ask you, who do I want to? Miles Sanders. Let's talk about Miles Sanders. Obviously, do you think he's going to get re-signed with the Eagles, or do you think he finds a new home, maybe Atlanta? I'm thinking. I really think
The
I think Atlanta just needs a running back.
Atlanta, dude, they signed, is it Keith Smith or something like that again, or for a
Mhm.
1 year deal? It was like, yeah. Um, I don't know why the Eagles wouldn't re-sign him. I don't think they will, but I'm just kind of thinking out loud. I was like, he was so good last year. I get that they have Boston Scott and Kenny Gainwell, but they used all three more or less throughout the season and the playoffs. Um, and I think Miles Sanders is a pretty good running back. I don't know why you wouldn't resign him, but if you're asking me where you think you go or what you'll do, Atlanta's definitely wide open. The Bucks, as I said earlier, I think is a good one because he'll
Good
bring
one.
he'll bring experience there with Rashad White. Would it be a nice 1-2 punch? Um, yeah, that's where else.
I
Who
think
knows?
Carolina.
The Panthers, maybe. Yeah, if they're not, I suppose if Foreman and stuff are not back, um, like the Vikings are gonna, if they're gonna get rid of Dalvin Cook and it's gonna be Madison, they're gonna need someone else. I think anyone that's gonna probably have maybe a young running back on the roster, maybe Miles Sanders, be good to bring in. He's a vet at this stage and bring good experience.
Yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see because there's so many, like you mentioned, there's so many running backs still available, and there's no team that's actually signed a running back to a big deal yet. I
Yeah.
mean, naming some top running backs, as mentioned, Miles Sanders already. Then you got David Montgomery, who's still there, who is good, I think. You got Damian Harris, who's
A
good.
rumor about Montgomery actually that they the Broncos have called to see what would kind of his availability be just in case Javante's not ready to go. That's one actually that just I remembered reading earlier on, but I think
But
that's
isn't he a free agent though? Isn't
yeah. They
he?
called him and his agent to discuss to see if he
Oh,
was
oh,
interested
oh,
in going
okay.
there. I don't know how much he is because I think he kind of knows once Javante's back, he's the main guy. But it's like kind of
Yeah,
ringing to see what might you know what he might want to get it done.
I think he's a good fit in my opinion. I think he's a good fit in Miami. I
Yeah,
think I would like to see Montgomery in Miami.
Miami need running backs as well, and that's probably their Achilles heel. They haven't got a top one, Miami. Um, I think there was a lot of rumors when there was a whole Derrick Henry thing. Is he going to be traded? Maybe Miami be interested then, but it doesn't look like he will be. But yeah, I could see him going there too.
And then what about Damian Harris? I mean, I don't think the Patriots are going to re-sign him in my opinion. I think it's Ramondre and Pierre Strong is going to be in the run game there. I think Damian Harris, obviously if David Montgomery leaves and doesn't re-sign with the Bears. I think Damian Harris could be a guy that maybe could work kind of mold well with the Bears offense, kind of thing. Not saying that he's going to be like the every down back. I think he's going to split carries with Khalil Herbert.
Yeah, I mean that wouldn't be bad. Damian Harris hasn't done a whole lot wrong other than being hurt a few times. He's very effective and played very well for your
That's the thing.
Patriots.
You look at him last year, and you look at him last year, 2 years ago. I mean, wow, time flies. 2 years ago, Harris was really good, and then last year he kind of just poof gone.
Yeah, Stevenson's a way better runner. Way better runner. You can see that, but Harris doesn't do a whole lot wrong. He sees the hole well, and he attacks the gap and goes through it. Very good, very good. Getting touchdowns. It was pretty good in fantasy as well. Always a good late pick in drafts, and always kind of returns, some good points. He'd be an interesting one. I wouldn't mind the Seahawks took him. I don't know what's going to go on with Rashad Penny and all that. We've got Walker.
I think Ken
Ken
Walker though is
Walker's
going to be that guy.
Ken Walker's going to be the guy, but we're going to need someone else. I think Pete knows now that these guys they get hurt pretty easily, and we've we've taken our lumps with Rashard Penny. Don't get me wrong; the guy is talented, but he gets hurt pretty easily. Ken Walker's had his bumps and bruises too, and he's not been in the league that long. So I think they're going to need another guy in there that's, he's able to spell now and again. Now, obviously, he has the injury worry because he has had a few injuries with the Patriots, but I wouldn't mind a guy like that in that, if Walker does go down, you can rely on Damian Harris.
Well, here's the thing. I think if any running back were to sign with the Seahawks, I think it's got to be someone who doesn't normally start, but is really productive when on the field. And I think, and I'm not saying he's going to go there. I think my prediction is the Bengals is where he will go. But I think Kareem Hunt would also be a possibly good fit.
Yeah, I like Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt is.
But I think he's going to go to the Bengals in my opinion. I think he's going to go to the Bengals.
Kareem Hunt, yeah, that's a great shout.
They need a running back, like you mentioned.
Yeah, they got none. I mean, there's lots of interesting ones. Like you got Leonard Fournette out there, Singletary. Yeah. Jerick McKinnon was back, in the frame last year for the Chiefs. Who else is out there that has any name going on it? Jeff Wilson. He wasn't bad. He was good with it. He wasn't bad with the Niners, and he was all right with the Miami. And then it's whatever people think of Melvin Gordon, probably over the hill at this stage. But there's a few guys out there that I wouldn't mind taking. Miles Sanders, obviously, we talked about Jamal Williams. He's another interesting one.
Yeah, that's another one I would actually like to go to Seattle. I mean, it's the backup running back that can produce, but isn't that number one guy.
Yeah, I agree.
And I think Kareem or Jamal is the top guy. But you mentioned one last one, I think, for running backs is you mentioned him first off your time. It was Leonard Fournette. I mean, he got released. Do you expect him to do you have a landing spot that you think he could possibly go to?
The Texans for the crack. Because everybody ends up at the Texans at some stage. I don't know, something like that. I think Leonard Fournette's probably his days are beyond him now.
No.
Yeah.
I think he's still valuable.
You think?
I think he goes to the Bills.
Maybe the Bills. It's interesting. I wouldn't like to see James Robinson getting kicked out for Leonard Fournette. I think, or James Cook even. Sorry,
James Cook
get kicked out for Leonard Fournette because I think he's talented and he just needs to see the ball more.
Well, here's the thing.
When he got touches,
I'm not saying James Cook is bad, and I wouldn't want that to happen either. Because for anyone who has James Cook in Dynasty, you want James Cook to be that number one guy. But if they don't see him being that number one guy, then Leonard Fournette's going to go, and he's going to go in there, and he's going to be a workhorse back. And I think he's going to be good, but it's going to kill people in James Cook owners.
Oh, yeah, big time, because a lot of people were taking him late first round last year's draft. So, yeah, if someone comes in like that has the experience and can challenge him to be the starter, well, then, yeah, it's definitely a dicey situation.
Quarterbacks, there's not really much left. I mean, you got Tannehill, Wentz, Darnold. I mean, I think you maybe would agree with me that these three players are kind of they're not players that are going to be starters or they made for the beginning of the season, but they're going to be veteran quarterbacks that are kind of just going to help mentor those rookie quarterbacks that come into those teams.
Yeah, Baker's interesting. It sounds like the Bucs want him with Trask. Other than that, though, it's like Andy Dalton. He'd just be a backup. Maybe Jacoby Brissett somewhere. Jacoby did all right for Cleveland, while Watson was having.
Goes back to the Patriots.
Good. I mean, I like Zappy, to be honest. I didn't mind Zappy when he was in there. He had one bad game.
Would you do Zappy over Jones?
Sorry?
Would you do Zappy over Jones?
I'd get definitely. I don't know about you, but I've seen enough of Mac Jones to know he's not going to be brilliant. So
I give him one more year. Come on, give him one more year. One more year.
Okay, you can draft him. You got it. You can draft him in the leagues I'm against you in. Then I'll be happy with that.
Yeah, I will. Because I stick with my quarterback.
Yeah, and that'll be your downfall.
And that's why I lose in my fantasy leagues. No, I think Baker is an interesting one. I like Baker for sure. I think he can. I just don't know. He might be the only other option that's still available that could possibly be like a starter. But I think in my personally, I think he should stay with Stafford and the
So
Rams.
do I. I said he should stay with the Rams. I think they want rid of Stafford anyways, and he'd get play game time with the Rams, and they look like they're blowing it up too. Maybe they'll keep some, pieces like Cup and Aaron Donald and all that, but they definitely aren't going to be up there trying to win the Super Bowl. They put all their eggs in one basket, won a Super Bowl, then had the worst defense of it last year. Okay, they had lots of injuries and stuff, but now they have no draft picks and they need to go get some capital and get rid of players. So yeah, Baker could be the guy that loses them enough games that they maybe they get some draft picks in the next few years.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I just don't see why they wouldn't go for Baker. Or I think he already knows the offense. He didn't look bad in the offense.
He did all right when he was there. I'm not a big Baker guy, but I had to say he did pretty good. Like that first game when he was only there and he won. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, he was pretty good.
Uh, Lastly, wide receivers, tight ends. Wide
Yeah.
receivers, some top ones: DJ Chark, Jacoby Myers, Juju Smith, Alan Lazard, Nelson Aguilar, Miko Hardman, Odell Beckham. I
Yeah.
don't know if I missed any. I think those are
Yeah.
kind of the top ones. Robert
Yeah.
Woods was another one, but he signed with the Texans.
Signed the Texans. He got not too bad of a deal with the Texans. OBJ is interesting. I've seen a lot of teams went to watch the workout. Your boys are very interested, but I don't see how he fits you, and I don't see how he fits Belichick because he's very much like a prima donna, and that is not a Belichick's.
Hey, they dealt with Antonio Brown for one game.
Exactly, for one game. Yeah, so I don't see how that works. I think Odell's just made for the Cowboys, to be honest. I mean, Jerry Jones is who knows what Jerry Jones wants to do day-to-day basis. I think they'll fit together nicely. Jacoby Myers, really like him, very underrated player. He's obviously not going to get the money he wants with you, so he's testing free agency. I mean, if you probably wanted 10 million a year or something like that, 10 to 12, he'd stay with you, but he's looking for more 15, 16 and that way. So see what the market is for him. As we've seen today, no running back, no wide receiver was touched, so it's all going to be wait and see.
I had him going for the Bears before they traded back.
I don't know how that fits. Yeah, I don't think.
I don't know. I just kind of think Jacoby would have been like the top dog.
Maybe with DJ Moore now, I don't think so.
Well, that was pre-trade.
Pre-trade. Okay, yeah, he would have been pre that. Yeah.
No, now I mean he's gonna go. I don't know. He could go. Honestly, I think he could fit well back in Las Vegas. He worked with Josh McDaniels.
Maybe if they have the money to spend. I think an interesting one if they have the room. Say they don't get Juju back, the Chiefs go get Jacoby Myers. I like that one. Him with Patrick Mahomes. That's pretty nice. Because
I think they would add speed. I don't think Jacoby's got speed.
Well, they have MVS for that speed, right? So I think Jacoby Myers could just be their go-to guy. I think he's.
I was thinking more.
I think he's more reliable than Juju.
I think Nelson Aguilar would have been a fit for the Chiefs.
Maybe I wasn't.
Speed.
Yeah, I wasn't.
Not saying he's a top dog, but
yeah, I wasn't a big fan of him. I just like it for Jacoby because I do think he's a good player.
So we mentioned all these players, but not one player did we determine to go to the Giants.
We said Jacoby a while ago to the Giants. The problem is now with the Giants, they obviously paid Daniel Jones a heap load of money. They're going to franchise. They have to franchise tag Barkley, but they're obviously going to work in the deal. Hopefully he gets it's a long-term deal, so that's more money. So I just don't know how that all fits in under. I don't know what their cap room is, but I can't see them, maybe giving Jacoby, 16, 17, 18 million a year. They've already been down that road with Kenny Galladay and it blew up in their face. So I think they're going to be cautious with, signing wide receivers to big deals. So it might just have to be the draft for them.
I think Juju would. I think Juju would be a fit for the Giants, in my opinion, if he doesn't go back to the Chiefs.
Yeah, look, Juju's a good player. He's good in the slot, but it's the whole off the field stuff with Juju. If you can handle all that TikTok nonsense, then yeah, maybe. Lazard, Chark, they're interested. I don't really know where they go. I would think Lazard stays, re-signs to some sort of deal.
Don't say that. Don't say that.
Don't say that.
Why would you say that?
What, with the Packers?
Yeah, he goes to another team that starts with a P.
You want him at the Patriots? I like Alan Lazard. He's a good player, but they got to do something for what it looks like it's going to be Love starting a quarterback there. So they got to give him some
wide receiver.
I'm more thinking that they, Love's got to know.
You got Christian Watson. You're fine.
Yeah, I suppose Christian Watson, one guy that struggles to catch a ball, but then will go off for like 4 touchdowns in one game. I just think they'll need players that Love knows that's already there and might have some of a connection with. So that's why I think he might be back with the Packers.
As for Chark, I think he goes to the Ravens.
Yeah, it's not a bad move. That's a good show. Yeah, I like that. Jarvis Landry's out there. I know he's getting old, but he's another one that's like looking for a team.
You know who I could see getting him, which I wouldn't like? The Patriots.
Yeah, he's a real Patriots guy now at this stage. Get him on a cheap 1-year deal and stick him in there. He'll be fine. Yeah.
Lastly, the tight end position. We know Hunter Long got traded from the Dolphins. We also know that Mike Gesicki is a free agent. So the Dolphins have no tight end currently, right now, realistically. I think Foster Moreau, because he's so young, that he fit very well with the Dolphins, only because he's a good pass catcher. He's not going to do anything in Las Vegas because Darren Waller's there, and he's still young. I think I already mentioned that already, but I might as well mention it twice. And he's a good blocker, and I think you'd do well there.
I think it's a couple of names that could do well in Miami. If obviously, there's obviously Dalton Schultz.
Yeah.
Don't know if they have the money to. Mike Gesicki, getting him back. Hayden Hurst, a free agent. I think he'd be good there too. We've seen him what he did with Burrows.
Yep.
If the Bengals don't re-sign him, then there's Robert Tonyan, who's he's a free agent. They're the guys that jump out to me that kind of be like, sign him on a 1-year deal. The Dolphins, like we were talking about, are hoping to win a championship. Them guys could definitely help.
What about Hooper, or maybe the fantasy legend? You forget about the fantasy legend. I'll tell you his name. Irv Smith Jr.
Irv Smith Jr.
Everyone's so high on him.
Everybody's gonna take a chance on him. That guy has all the potential, and then gets injured, and then it all goes up in smoke. So I don't know. I don't know whether I don't think the team like the Dolphins who want to win now would take a chance on that. They'd want someone more solid, like the guys we just spoke about there. I think even Foster Moreau, to be honest, because when he was out there on the field, he was a great red zone target. Yeah, it's a great red zone target. He's always good for a touchdown.
I think out of all these tight ends, I think for Mike Gesicki, I would put him to the Bengals. I think he'd be a good fit for the Bengals. Good pass catcher.
Dalton Schultz to the Bengals would be great.
It'd be great, but I think the Cowboys would be too dumb, or would be too dumb enough to not go for Dalton Schultz. I think Dalton Schultz just molded so well with that team and Dak Prescott, and he was a good red zone target. I don't see Dalton Schultz leaving, and I don't think he should leave.
I wouldn't be. I agree, but I think Jerry Jones is that mad. I don't. You wouldn't know what he'd do if they're gonna I think Beckham wants $20 million a year or something. If they go ahead and give Beckham that,
insane.
Then there's no way. It is insane. There's no way they'll keep Schultz. So go get some young tight end and say, right, we've got Beckham now. We can throw it to him instead. So that's the thing. Just have to wait and see where Beckham goes.
I mean, I think, but if Mike Gesicki doesn't go to the Bengals and Dalton Schultz doesn't go to the Cowboys, I'd like Schultz with the Bengals. I think it'd be a good fit.
Okay, will be.
Who else? Hayden Hurst. I think a good pass catcher. He looked good in the Bengals last year. I think he'd be good in the Giants. Do you have the Giants some pass catchers?
Yeah, I was surprised the Bengals haven't secured him because he had great connection with Burrow. I'm
Burrow.
surprised. Maybe it will happen, but I'm just surprised it hasn't happened. It
Um,
seems like they have a lot of things to sort out there, the Bengals, between getting rid of two safeties in their defense, tight end, which was like, I think it made it obvious just to even keep on a 1 year deal.
yeah.
They haven't yet, so I don't know. Wait and see.
I think lastly was what Tanyan Hooper Irv Smith.
Yeah,
Um, what maybe Chargers? Chargers they need tight end. Maybe Robert
Everett's there,
Tanyan.
but I heard they weren't tagging Parham. They weren't going to
Yeah,
tag
exactly.
Parham, so maybe they'll need someone. Maybe Tanya in there, yeah.
Hooper, I think I don't know
Cooper could end
why,
up in
but
the
Hooper's just
Packers
tall.
need someone.
That's what I was just gonna say. I think the
There you go.
Packers would fit really well with Hooper. He's
Yeah, there you go.
tall and everything.
Yeah.
He's got the height. He's got the advantage. Love can just dime him up. I think it'd be perfect landing spot.
There we go. We were saying it. We were both saying it together. So Hooper, get your bags packed over to Green Bay, bud.
Exactly. Go enjoy the cold. Irv Smith, I think here's the thing. So Irv Smith kind of been a bust. He was a bust for the Vikings. I think what team is really young that needs a tight end, hasn't really had potential with any of their tight ends that they've had in the past, and are looking to build their team? Texans.
Yeah. Won't be surprised but they've who they got? They got Brevin Jordan. Isn't it
Oh,
Jordan?
he's so good. He's so good.
I know, and they have Akins that was doing it all last year. Yeah, so maybe they could slot in there.
Yeah. I mean, Brevin Jordan didn't really look that great. Get Irv Smith on a cheap deal. Hey, I like it. Oh, what about Thielen? Totally forgot. For wide receiver, Adam Thielen.
Your boys, Patriots. He's another one
Oh,
like
I'm so
Landry.
glad.
I could definitely see him
I'm
at the
so
Patriots.
glad.
Another old guy. Give him a 2 year deal. Hope he stays fit.
That's what I'm saying.
Could be safe hands
It's
for
the old guy.
Mac. They're just
For
fits.
Mac or
Mac or Zappy or whoever, but they're just them fits that Bill Belichick just goes for.
they don't go. Belichick is not good with young quarterbacks. I mean, young wide receivers. He's good with elite guys like Randy Moss. I mean, Julian Edelman was there. He drafted him in the 7th round. I mean, what? I mean, he had good receivers, but they weren't really drafted. And I mean, D Hop, Thielen, Landry, all these ring a bell. Oh, Odell, all these ring a bell with one comparison. They're old.
That's it. You could play. So you got Landry, play Landry in the slot, play Thielen out on one side, and then I don't know, maybe you resign Jacoby or get someone else on the other side. There you go. And then you put
Tyquan Thornton, 2nd-round pick.
There you go. There's Tyquan Thornton, and then you got Hunter Henry. That wouldn't be too bad. I've seen worse.
Yeah. I know. In a tough division like that, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It's going to be hard. But that's going to do it here for Free Agency Frenzy Player Predictions. Again, Keith, it's always a pleasure having you on. We'll be back next time with the NFC Free Agency signings, reactions, and some more possible player predictions. But if you haven't done so already, then you need to go download Underdog Fantasy. Got to go use code SportsTimeHQ. They'll match your first deposit up to $100. So you might as well get a free $100 while you're at it when you're signing up. But once again, use code SportsTimeHQ, but gamble responsibly. Also, if you're interested in doing March Madness or baseball's coming up, basketball season's ending, looking to purchase maybe a trophy, a ring, or a belt, go to trophysmack.com/sportstimeHQ. You can purchase a ring, trophy, belt, or any type of memorabilia like that for your fantasy leagues, any of your business type of bets, or who knows, something along those lines. But once again, go to trophysmack.com/sportstimeHQ. Once again, I'm Fernando. Joined with me was my great co-host Keith. You can follow him all over social media at swampdonkey_90, but also follow him and his fiance on Instagram at huddleup_NFL. I'm Fernando. I'm your host of Sports Time HQ. We'll see you all next time here on